My name is Hannah, 35 years old, and I just stood there as my mom mocked my supposed single life at our family reunion. She didn't know I'd been happily married for 3 years. My secret wedding ring, hidden on a chain under my blouse, felt heavier with every word she said. After years of her criticism, I decided it was time to share my truth. The family photo hit the floor as my secret poured out. Before I dive into how my family learned about my hidden life, drop a comment with where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about family secrets and standing up for yourself. Growing up, I tiptoed around my mom, Diane Anderson, like I was walking on eggshells on her flawless marble floors. She was the picture of perfection in our suburban neighborhood, blonde hair always perfect, clothes pressed, and her role as country club president spotless. She demanded the same perfection from me, her only daughter. My dad, Thomas, softened her sharp edges. He'd wink at me during her lectures about posture or school clubs. "Hannah Bear," he'd say, "just be you. That's enough." His gentle nature kept us balanced. But when I was 12, Dad died suddenly from a heart attack. Mom and I were left in our too-big house, buried under her expectations. She controlled everything, my grades, my friends, even my clothes. "Hannah, Harvard doesn't take B+ students," she'd snap if my grades slipped. Or, "That skirt makes your hips look wide," when I tried on outfits. Nothing I did was ever quite right. By high school, I knew her criticisms by heart. I joined the right clubs, kept a 4.0 GPA, and dated boys from families she approved of. David Jenkins, my dad's old business partner's son, was her favorite. "He's got a future," she'd hint, ignoring his dull personality and wandering hands. College brought bigger problems. Mom had my life planned: Ivy League, law or medicine, married by 25 to someone from our circle. I went to Columbia as she wanted but studied English literature instead of pre-law. "Poetry won't pay, Hannah," she sighed, her disappointment crushing. After graduation, her pressure to find the perfect husband intensified. She hosted dinner parties, parading eligible bachelors before me. "Margaret's son just made partner," she'd announce, or, "James bought a Hamptons summer house, wonderful, right?" It felt like I was livestock at an auction. When I dated guys I liked, Mom sabotaged things. She accidentally told Michael about my childhood bedwetting. She grilled Paul about his career until he vanished. And when I brought home Tony, an art historian from grad school, she sneered, "Some women don't mind being the breadwinner," ending it before it began. She constantly compared me to other daughters. "Stephanie's engaged to a surgeon," or "Melissa's a vice president and volunteers." The message was clear: I was failing where others succeeded. By 25, I was suffocating under her judgment. When a job offer came up in Seattle, 2,000 miles from our Connecticut home, I grabbed it. Mom was livid. "Running away won't get you a husband," she said as I packed. "You'll end up alone with these reckless choices." I moved anyway, telling myself it was temporary, a chance to find myself. Deep down, I still craved her approval. Every success in Seattle, I wondered, would this make Mom proud? But the distance, physical and emotional, let me breathe, helping me discover who I was outside her rules. I didn't realize then that 3,000 miles wouldn't be far enough to escape her disapproval. Nor did I know my quest for freedom would lead me to a love that changed everything. 6 months after moving to Seattle, I met Adam Hayes. It was my first day at Horizon Technologies, where I was the new communications director. Lost in the office's maze of hallways and late for a meeting, I crashed into him, spilling coffee all over his wrinkled blue shirt. "I'm so sorry," I said, horrified as the stain spread. He just grinned, warm and genuine. "This shirt was ready to retire anyway," he said, holding out his hand. "Adam Hayes, lead software engineer and now your coffee billboard." Adam's easy charm won me over instantly. He was tall, with messy dark hair, glasses slipping down his nose, and a laid-back vibe that felt so different from the uptight world I grew up in. He guided me to my meeting and offered a tour of the office afterward. That tour turned into lunch. I learned Adam grew up in a small Oregon town, son of a teacher and a nurse. He worked through college with scholarships and odd jobs. Now, at 32, he was great at his job but had no interest in corporate games. "I just want to create things that help people," he said. "Fancy titles don't matter to me." I could hear Mom's voice in my head: no drive, no connections, no money. But Adam's realness pulled me in. We started as friends, eating lunch in the office cafeteria, swapping work emails, and sometimes joining coworkers for drinks. One happy hour, 3 months later, we were the last ones left. Our talk shifted from work to books, music, and old dreams. I shared my secret love for photography, which I'd dropped because Mom called it a hobby, not a job. Adam listened, eyes bright, then dragged me to buy a camera. "Life's too short to skip what you love, even if it's just weekends," he said as we left the store, my new camera in hand. That night, at my door, Adam kissed me, soft, hesitant, giving me space to back away. I didn't. I leaned in, feeling something fall into place, something I hadn't known I needed. Over the next 6 months, our love grew. We hiked Seattle's green forests, poked around hidden bookstores, and cooked big meals in his cozy apartment on rainy Sundays. Adam loved my photos, framing them for his walls and showing them off to friends. For the first time, I felt truly seen, not shaped into someone else's idea of me. Adam accepted my quirks and cheered my dreams, making me feel enough just as I was. But I knew the easy days wouldn't last. The real challenge would be introducing him to Mom. I delayed it as long as I could, blaming work or timing. But when Mom said she was coming to Seattle for a conference, I had no choice. I spent days warning Adam. "She's tough," I said. "She has strict ideas about who I should date." He squeezed my hand. "I love you, Hannah. Your mom might not like me at first, but I'm here for you. We'll handle it together." Dinner was a mess, just as I'd feared. Mom showed up early, flawless in her designer suit, making my outfit feel cheap. She eyed Adam's casual shirt, no tie, and started in. "So, Adam," she said after quick hellos, "Hannah says you work with computers. Any future in that?" It was the start of a 3-hour grilling. His state school? How quaint. His teacher parents? So underpaid, but noble. His goals? No management plans? Odd for your age. She was relentless. Adam stayed kind, answering thoughtfully, trying to connect. But Mom wasn't having it. Her tight smiles and sharp questions showed she'd already judged him a failure. By dessert, I was holding back tears. When Adam stepped away, Mom leaned in. "He's fine for a fling, darling, but you can't be serious. No status, no ambition. You'd be carrying him in 5 years, trust me." When Adam came back, she pivoted, boasting about better men back east. "William's a junior partner now," she said, eyeing me. "He always asks about you, Hannah." Later, after Mom left for her hotel, I sobbed in Adam's arms. "I'm so sorry," I said. "She was awful to you." "Hey," he said, wiping my tears. "I'm in love with you, not your mom. If she needs time to come around, that's fine. We've got time." But months later, Mom didn't budge. Her calls grew frequent, always with updates on successful people back home, engagements, promotions, new houses. "Life's passing you by, Hannah," she'd say. "Don't waste your youth on dead-end relationships." Adam never griped, but I saw the strain, his smile fading when Mom's name lit up my phone, his quiet look when I canceled plans for her surprise visits. Still, he stayed patient and loving. I loved him more each day, but I couldn't shake my fear about our future. 6 months into dating Adam, Mom's subtle jabs turned into full-on meddling. Her first move was a surprise. She'd set up a dinner with James Whitmore, her bridge partner's newly divorced son, who was coincidentally in Seattle during her visit. "Let's all have dinner," she said sweetly over the phone. James is at the Four Seasons for a conference. He remembers you from the Millers' Christmas party. I didn't even recall meeting James Whitmore. At dinner, Mom practically shoved me toward him while Adam sat, stunned. James looked uneasy too, especially when Mom rattled off my achievements like a sales pitch. Hannah graduated cum laude from Columbia, she told him, ignoring Adam. She could have gone to law school, but she's exploring options. It's not too late, right? After that, Mom went all out. She lined up every eligible bachelor passing through Seattle: Michael, a neurosurgeon; Christopher, a hedge fund guy; Tyler, an attorney tied to her old college friend. It was relentless. Her calls grew sharper. "Hannah, I'm worried about your future," she'd say. "You're almost 30. Do you want to waste these years on someone who doesn't fit our world?" "Adam is my world, Mom," I'd snap back. She'd sigh heavily. "You're stubborn, just like your father. Look how that ended, working himself dead in a job that didn't value him." That hit hard, dragging Dad into it. "Don't talk about him like that," I said, voice shaking. Dad was happy. He loved his work, his life. Not everything's about status. "Adam's filling your head with this free spirit nonsense," she shot back coldly. "Your father could have been more if he'd listened to me. I won't watch you repeat his mistakes." Things hit a breaking point at Aunt Patricia's lake house for the family reunion. Mom insisted I come alone, saying it was family only. I knew she just didn't want Adam there. I went, hoping to avoid drama, but I should have seen her plan coming. She'd invited Bradley Wilson, her friend's divorced son, supposedly ready to settle down. Bradley was good-looking in a boring way, perfect hair, country club tan, obsessed with his Porsche, and totally condescending. At dinner, Mom tapped her glass for attention. "I have an announcement," she beamed. "Bradley's now a partner at Wilson & Associates, and he's kindly offered to give Hannah career advice." "Wonderful, right?" Then she added, "Maybe he'll convince her to move back east where she belongs." Everyone stared at me, their smiles expectant. I felt cornered, trapped. "Actually," I said, voice steady despite my nerves, "I love my job in Seattle, and I'm in a serious relationship." Mom's smile froze. "Hannah's being modest," she said tightly. "Her little marketing job is temporary, isn't it? And this boy she's seeing, well, summer flings are sweet, but winter's coming." Laughter filled the room as my cheeks burned. Later, on the porch, Bradley cornered me with sleazy career advice. I'd had enough. I texted Adam, "I can't take this. Can you come get me?" 3 hours later, Adam's Honda rolled into Aunt Patricia's driveway. Mom's face was pure shock and anger when I introduced him and said we were leaving. "You're causing a scene, Hannah," she hissed as I grabbed my bags. "No, Mom. You've been making a scene since I first told you about Adam," I said loudly, letting nearby relatives hear. The drive back to Seattle was heavy. Adam, usually so calm, didn't sugarcoat it. "I can't keep doing this, Hannah," he said, gripping the wheel. "I love you, but your mom will never accept me. I can't live forever feeling like I'm not enough." "Are you breaking up with me?" I asked, heart racing. He sighed. "No. I'm asking you to choose. We need boundaries with your mom, or we won't make it." The weeks after the reunion were brutal. I tried telling Mom her meddling was hurting my relationship with Adam, but she brushed me off. "If your relationship can't handle a mother's concern, it's not strong enough," she said dismissively. Things with Adam got tense. We started bickering over little things, my family's pressure darkening our once happy vibe. At night, I'd lie awake, tears falling silently as Adam slept, torn between the two people I loved most. Then Mom showed up unannounced one Sunday morning. Adam and I were having a relaxed breakfast when the doorbell rang. There she was, designer suitcase in hand, saying she wanted quality time with me. For a week, she took over everything. She criticized my apartment decor, my job, and made sure Adam and I had no time alone. When Adam suggested a dinner to talk things out, Mom claimed a headache. An hour later, she called, saying she was lonely and needed me back. After she left, Adam and I had our worst fight ever. "She'll never stop, Hannah," he said, pacing our living room. "She wants us to break up, and she'll keep pushing until she wins." "What can I do?" I cried. "She's my mom." "And I want to be your husband," he shouted, then froze, as shocked by his words as I was. In the quiet that followed, we knew we were at a turning point. Something had to shift, or we'd lose each other. We had no idea how big that change would be or how it would reshape our lives. 2 months later, Adam and I escaped to the San Juan Islands for a weekend. The strain from Mom was pulling us apart, and we needed a break. We stayed in a cozy cottage by the water, hiking through pine forests by day and watching sunsets glow orange and pink at night. On our second evening, Adam suggested a beach walk after dinner. The moon lit a silver path across the water, waves lapping softly, seagulls calling faintly in the distance. "Remember our first trip to the coast?" Adam asked, skipping a stone across the water. I grinned. "You tried surfing to impress me and got a bloody nose." He chuckled. "Not my best day, but you took care of me." That's when I knew. Knew what? "You're the one I want to care for, and be cared for by, forever." Before I could answer, Adam knelt, pulling out a velvet box. Inside was a ring, a simple diamond with sapphires like the sea behind him. "Hannah Anderson, I've loved you since you spilled coffee on my shirt. I love your kind heart, your quiet strength, your ability to see good in people, even when it's hard." He paused. "Your family's made things tough, but I'll stand by you no matter what. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred my eyes as I nodded, speechless. The ring slid on, feeling so right. We spent the night planning our future, dodging the one big question: how would Mom react? Back in Seattle, reality hit hard. The thought of telling Mom about our engagement felt like a weight on my chest. I knew it wouldn't go well. I put it off for 3 days before calling her on a Wednesday night. My hands shook as I held the phone. "Hannah, darling, what a surprise," she said, her voice oddly warm. "I was just thinking of you. Patricia's daughter got engaged to a great guy from Greenwich. His family's in publishing." I took a deep breath. "Mom, I have news too." Adam proposed, and I said yes. Silence hung heavy, like the line had died. Then her voice came, icy and sharp. "I see. When did this happen?" "Last weekend, in the San Juan Islands." "Have you set a date?" she cut in. "Not yet. Maybe next spring," I started to say. "There's still time to rethink this," Mom interrupted. "Engagements fall apart, Hannah. No one would judge you." I clutched the phone tighter. "Mom, I'm not backing out. I love Adam, and we're getting married." "Hannah Elizabeth Anderson," she hissed, her voice low and sharp, "you can't be serious about marrying that nobody. What about your future? Your kids? Do you want them missing out on the life you had?" "Adam's not a nobody," I shot back, anger flaring. "He's smart, kind, and loves me for me, not some version you want." "Is that a jab at me?" she snapped. "Everything I've done was for your good." "No, Mom. You've done what you think is good for me. That's not the same." The call went downhill fast. Mom swung between cold rage and teary guilt trips, saying I was ruining my future, that I'd regret it, that I was breaking her heart. "Your father would be so disappointed," she said, hitting me where it hurt most. "Dad would have loved Adam," I said, tears falling. "He'd see what a good man he is." "Your father's gone," she said. "And I'm telling you, this is a mistake. Marry him, Hannah, and I won't be there. I won't be in your life at all." Her final words chilled me. Choose him over family, and don't call me mother again." The line went dead. I sank to the floor, sobbing. An hour later, Adam found me, holding me as I choked out the story. "She'll disown me, Adam. She said not to call her mother." His face was serious, but his voice soft. "Hannah, I love you, but you need to be sure. If you want to end the engagement, I'll get it." I looked at him, eyes puffy. "Is that what you want?" "No," he said firmly. "I want to marry you, build a life together. But I don't want to cost you your family." I thought of Mom's ultimatums, her endless criticism, how she never accepted my choices. Then I thought of Adam, who loved me without conditions, never trying to change me. "You're not the reason," I said. "She is. I'm not ending this, Adam. I want to marry you." "But..." I took a deep breath, an idea forming. "I can't handle a big wedding, not without her, or worse, with her ruining it." "What if we elope? Just us, somewhere beautiful, no drama?" Adam looked at me closely. "Is that really what you want? Not just to dodge your mom?" I nodded, relief washing over me. "Yes. Just us, making our vows. That's what matters." 2 weeks later, we married on the beach where he proposed. His parents, his sister, her husband, and my 2 Seattle friends were there. It was simple, perfect, except for the empty space where my family should have been. As we said our vows, waves crashing behind us, I made a silent promise: Mom's absence wouldn't ruin this day or our future. I chose happiness, love, Adam. It was my toughest choice ever. But looking into his eyes, I knew it was right. I didn't know then that this choice would lead to 3 years of living a double life, hiding secrets that would one day explode dramatically. Our honeymoon was a week in a small Oregon coastal town near Adam's hometown. We stayed in a cozy bed and breakfast, explored tide pools, hiked trails, and planned our future at night. For that week, I forgot Mom and the family I'd left behind. It was just Adam and me, starting our life. Back in Seattle, reality hit. Mom had called twice during our honeymoon, leaving voicemails like nothing happened. "Hannah, call me back. Janet's hosting a gala next month. I thought you'd want to come. Her son Steven just finished his residency at Mass General." I listened to Mom's voicemails, stunned and sad. She acted like our fight about Adam's proposal never happened. When I called back, I dodged wedding talk. "I can't make Janet's gala," I said. "Work's crazy busy." "Always work," Mom sighed. "When are you visiting?" "It's been ages." That's when my life got weird. I kept up with Mom through cautious calls and rare trips east. I'd hide my wedding ring on a chain under my shirt. Adam stayed behind, knowing it was simpler, but I saw the pain in his eyes each time I packed. When Mom came to Seattle, thankfully rarely, I'd moved to my old apartment, kept just for this. Adam stayed with friends. The place looked like I lived alone, one toothbrush, no men's clothes. "Needs a man's touch," Mom would say, eyeing the bare decor. "Spend less time at work, and maybe you'd meet someone." I'd force a smile, change the topic, and feel the weight of my lies grow. But Adam and I built our real life in a cozy house north of Seattle. It had a garden where Adam grew veggies and a spare room we dreamed of making a nursery. We made friends, joined a book club, and settled into married life. At Horizon Technologies, my career soared. I became Senior Communications Director, leading a team of 5. Adam's software work earned industry praise. But every happy moment was dimmed by hiding half my life from Mom. Sometimes, I nearly told her the truth. The lies felt crushing. But then she'd jab at Adam or my job, reminding me why I kept quiet. On our 2nd anniversary, big news hit: I was pregnant. We'd been trying, but it still shocked me. At the doctor's, Adam gripped my hand, his face full of joy and disbelief. "We're going to be parents," he whispered, hand on my flat belly as we left. Pregnancy made my double life glaring. How could I hide a child? Pretend to be a single mom? Keep up the charade with a baby? The question spun as my body changed and our baby grew. At the 20-week ultrasound, we learned it was a girl. Adam teared up when the tech said, "It's a girl." That night, picking names, the truth hit hard. "Mom doesn't know she's going to be a grandmother," I said, crying. "What kind of person am I?" Adam held me tight. "You made a tough choice to protect us. That doesn't make you bad." Hannah Lily Grace Hayes arrived on a rainy October Tuesday, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, with Adam's dark hair and my green eyes. Holding her, I felt a fierce, breathtaking love. But I also grieved what Mom was missing, and what Lily would miss without her grandma. The next day, I texted Mom, careful not to mention Adam or marriage. "Mom, you're a grandmother. I had a baby girl, Lily Grace, yesterday. We're doing well." Hours later, she replied, shocked and judging, "A baby? What? Whose is it? Out of wedlock? Who's the father? Why am I just now hearing this?" I dodged her calls for 3 days, blaming recovery and baby care. When we talked, I stuck to half-truths. Yes, I had a baby. No, I wasn't with the father, just married to him, which I didn't say. Yes, I'd raise her alone, with Adam's help, unmentioned. Mom was furious. "This is what happens when you run off to Seattle, away from family," she said coldly. I knew it'd lead to trouble. "You've made your bed, Hannah. Now lie in it." She didn't ask to visit, and I didn't offer. She sent a fancy gift basket of baby clothes, signed grandmother, no personal note. It sat unopened in our hall, a reminder of the distance between us. As Lily grew from baby to toddler, hiding our life got harder. Adam's parents came often, showering their granddaughter with love and filling our home with joy. My family's absence stood out, brushed off to friends as family issues. Keeping up the lie was a logistical nightmare. When Mom visited Seattle, I'd move back to my old apartment, hiding not just my stuff but all signs of Lily. I'd say she was with a friend or her father for visits. Each lie built on another, a shaky tower I knew would collapse. I could barely track what I'd said. The strain showed everywhere, my fights with Adam, the bags under my eyes, the moments I'd watch Lily and wonder if I was teaching her to hide herself. By her 2nd birthday, I was drained from the double life. Adam and I talked about coming clean to Mom, no matter the fallout. But every time I got close, she'd make a snide comment about single moms or ask when I'd fix my life and find Lily a real dad, reminding me why I stayed silent. As Lily's 3rd birthday and my 35th neared, the family reunion invite came. It was at Mom's house this year, a must-attend event I couldn't skip without raising flags. I had no idea it would force my secret life into the open. I arrived at Mom's Connecticut home alone that June Friday. Leaving Lily and Adam in Seattle hurt more than ever. Mom greeted me with air kisses and a quick critique. "You look exhausted, darling," she said, leading me inside. "Is that child still keeping you up?" "She's 3, she should sleep through." "Lily's fine, Mom," I said, setting down my bag. "Work's just hectic." Her house was perfect as always, polished surfaces, fresh flowers in crystal vases. Photos lined the hall, showing a life Mom curated, me at graduation with her and Dad, her at a gala, but no Lily, my daughter erased from her perfect family story. The reunion started that night with a family-only dinner. Aunt Patricia and Robert were there, along with cousins Jessica and Matthew, their spouses, and Uncle James, Dad's brother, in from Chicago. The dining room, always intimidating, hosted Mom's fancy beef Wellington, paired with Robert's expensive wine. "How's single motherhood, Hannah?" Aunt Patricia asked over dessert. "Must be tough doing it all alone." My face warmed. "It's hard sometimes, but we're okay." "What about the father?" Uncle James asked bluntly. "Is he around?" Mom jumped in before I could speak. Hannah doesn't like discussing that, James. Some choices are better left behind. Her tone made her judgment clear. I gripped my fork, itching to spill the truth. The night dragged on with more veiled jabs and nosy questions. By the time I escaped to my old bedroom, I was spent. I called Adam, whispering despite my closed door. I can't handle 2 more days of this, I said, curled up on my childhood bed. Mom's comments are endless, and everyone pities me like I'm a failure. Then tell them, Adam said. Be honest, Hannah. Or come home. You don't have to endure this. I sighed, staring at the room that felt like a shrine to someone I wasn't anymore. Leaving would make it worse. And I'm not ready to tell them. I need the right moment. The next day, extended family arrived, cousins, second cousins, great-aunts, filling the house with chatter. I dodged the same questions about Seattle, work, and Lily, steering clear of my personal life. That evening's formal dinner was where it all unraveled. Mom sat me between cousin Rachel, a new law firm partner, and great-aunt Eleanor, who loved giving unwanted advice. The table sparkled with candles, fine china, and crystal, set for a grand occasion. Mom stood at the table's head, raising her glass. To family, she said, smiling warmly at everyone. It's what matters most. Everyone murmured agreement and sipped their wine. She went on, and to new starts. Jessica and Matthew are expecting their first baby in December, making me a great aunt. Cheers broke out as Jessica blushed, her husband gripping her hand. My heart ached for Lily, 3 years old and never recognized like this by her own grandma. And of course, Mom said, her eyes locking on me, we hope Hannah finds her path. 35 and still single, but it's never too late, right? Laughter spread, kind but pitying. I froze, wine glass halfway to my mouth. Some women are meant for careers, not family, Mom added. Not everyone gets both. Actually, Mom, I said, voice steady despite my racing heart, I'm not single. Silence fell. All eyes turned to me. Mom's smile stiffened, her eyes narrowing. What's that, darling? Keeping secrets from me? Her sugary tone hit a sharp edge, and something in me broke, 3 years of lies and buried anger finally spilling over. Yes, I am, I said, setting my glass down. I've been married for 3 years. The room went dead quiet. Mom's smile vanished, her face pale with shock. What? Hannah, that's not funny. It's not a joke. I married Adam Hayes 3 years ago, the Adam you said wasn't good enough, the one who's Lily's dad and my husband. Relatives gasped, exchanging looks. Aunt Patricia covered her mouth. Uncle James whistled softly. That's impossible, Mom said, voice rising. You'd have told me. You wouldn't hide that from your own mother. I gave a bitter laugh. Wouldn't I? You told me if I married him, not to call you mother. You gave me an ultimatum, and I chose. I never said that, she argued, glancing around for support. You're blowing a little argument about your boyfriend out of proportion. Husband, I corrected. You said if I picked him over family, we were done. So I kept quiet. I didn't tell you about our marriage, our house, or that Adam's Lily's father. Mom's hand shook as she grabbed her clutch, pulling out a silver-framed photo from my college graduation. This is our family, she said, holding it up like proof. Just us. That's 10 years old, Mom. This is my family now. I showed her a phone photo of Adam, Lily, and me at the park, smiling together in the sun. She stared, then dropped the frame. It shattered on the table, glass scattering. You lied to me, she whispered, pale. 3 years of lies. I did, I admitted. You forced me to choose between Adam and you. It broke my heart, but I picked him. He loves me for me, not some version you want. Mom shoved her chair back, scraping the floor. Leave, she said, voice trembling with anger or pain. If family means so little that you'd lie like this, you don't belong here. I stood slowly, facing my stunned relatives. I'm sorry you learned this way, I said. I didn't want to lie, but Mom made the truth impossible. Uncle James spoke up. Diane, this is absurd. She's your daughter. You're kicking her out for getting married? Stay out of it, James, Mom snapped. You don't know what she's done. She built a family, Aunt Patricia said softly. Is that so wrong? Mom didn't respond, staring out the window, rigid. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, pausing. I never wanted this, Mom. I hoped you'd accept Adam, us. I guess I was wrong. I left the dining room, trying to hold my head high, though my legs wobbled and my hands shook. Behind me, voices rose as family members argued. In my room, I stuffed my things into my suitcase, tears blurring my eyes. I called Adam, who picked up right away. Hannah, what's wrong? I told them, I said, voice cracking. About us, our marriage. Mom kicked me out. Are you okay? Where are you going? A hotel tonight, then home tomorrow, I said, zipping my bag shut. I'm so sorry, he said gently. I wish I was there. Me too, I whispered. Heading downstairs, I found Uncle James in the foyer. I'll drive you to a hotel, he said, taking my suitcase. What Diane's doing isn't right. Thanks, I said, grateful for his kindness. Mom appeared from the dining room, her face calm but eyes red. So, you're really leaving? She asked, almost accusingly. You told me to, I said simply. She nodded sharply. You've made your choice clear, Hannah. Again. No, Mom. You made it 3 years ago. I just dealt with it. I walked out without looking back, feeling her stare as Uncle James loaded my bag into his car. As we drove away, I saw her in the doorway, a stiff, small figure in the light, watching me go, maybe for good. In the car, Uncle James glanced over. Your dad would have liked Adam. He never cared about the status stuff your mom's hung up on. I nodded, throat tight. We drove quietly to the hotel, where Adam had booked a room. Before I got out, Uncle James squeezed my hand. Give her time, Hannah. She's stubborn, but she loves you. She'll see what she's losing. I didn't believe him, too hurt to hope for peace. Checking into the hotel, with my family celebrating miles away, I felt both deep loss and a strange relief. The secret was out. The double life was done. Whatever came next, I'd face it honestly with Adam. The next morning's flight to Seattle blurred by. I wandered the airport, replaying the fight, questioning every word and look, wondering if I could have done it differently. By landing, I'd swung through grief, anger, and guilt over and over. At the gate, Adam and Lily waited, my daughter bouncing with a welcome home, mommy sign in her tiny hands. Seeing them, my true family, pierced the fog I'd been in since Connecticut. I scooped up Lily, breathing in her sweet smell, her arms tight around my neck. Missed you, Mommy, she whispered. I bit my lip to hold back tears. Adam hugged us both, his calm grounding me. You okay? He asked softly as we headed to the car. I don't know, I said honestly. It feels like I lost her again, but maybe I lost her years ago and couldn't face it. The days after were oddly calm. Without the burden of lies, I felt lighter despite Mom's rejection. I soaked up time with Lily, cherishing simple moments, morning cuddles, bedtime stories, park trips, now free from the stress of my secret. A week later, Aunt Patricia texted, Your mom's shut out anyone who stood up for you, but some of us want to stay in touch. Is that okay? I sent my email and number, moved by their quiet support. Over the next weeks, family reached out. Some were curious about my hidden life, others just offered love. Uncle James sent old photos from gatherings I'd missed and stories about Dad that Mom never told. Mom's silence stung. I expected it, but each quiet day deepened my pain. Adam watched me check my phone constantly, his eyes worried, but he never pushed or offered false comfort. He just loved me, steady as always. A month later, a letter came, Mom's handwriting on the envelope. I stared at it, nervous, before opening it. Hannah, it started, no warmth in the greeting. I've thought about the reunion. I don't approve of your 3-year lie, but I see my actions played a part. Your dad always said I cared too much about appearances. Maybe he was right. The letter mixed her anger at my secrecy with rare self-reflection. It wasn't an apology, but it was more than I'd ever gotten. I don't know what's next, she ended, but I'm not ready to lose you or miss my granddaughter's life. If you're open, maybe we could talk. I cried reading it, then pored over it with Adam, searching for tricks. We agreed it was a real, if flawed, step forward. I called her that Sunday. Our talk was stiff, cautious, avoiding sore spots. We chatted about weather, her garden, Lily's preschool, small talk, but a beginning. Sunday calls became routine. Slowly, they got deeper. She asked about Adam, shyly at first, then curiously. I shared bits of our life, our home, our dreams. She listened, her comments showing she was grappling with my choices. You own a house? She asked once, shocked. With a garden? Yeah, Mom. Adam grows veggies. Lily has a sunflower patch. A pause. Your dad always wanted a garden. I never had time for it. 3 months post-reunion, Mom asked to visit. Adam and I debated, balancing hope against past hurts. We decided to invite her, but on our terms. You can come, I said on our next call. But this is our home, our life. You need to respect Adam as my husband and Lily's dad. I get it, she said, voice softer than usual. I want to try, Hannah. Her visit was tense but polite. She brought Lily a fancy doll and wine for dinner, small peace offerings. Adam greeted her warmly, shaking her stiff hand, his smile unwavering despite her unease. Lily, unaware of our messy history, won Mom over with her chatter and energy. By day's end, I saw Mom smile as Lily showed off her garden rock collection. That night, with Lily asleep, we sat in the living room, talk halting. Mom set down her wine and faced Adam. I owe you an apology, she said formally. I judged you on shallow things, not your character or how you make Hannah happy. I see now you do that in ways I didn't. Adam nodded graciously. Thank you, Diane. I just want Hannah's happiness. We both do. Mom turned to me then, her expression softening in a way that caught me off guard. It was like seeing a crack in the armor she'd worn for so long, rigid, unyielding, always ready with a critique or a redirection. Her eyes, usually sharp and assessing, held a flicker of something vulnerable, almost fragile. I've missed so much of your life, Hannah, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. 3 years of your marriage, Lily's birth, her first steps, watching her wobble across the room, that tiny hand reaching out for balance. I replay those moments in my head sometimes, imagining what it would have been like to be there, to hold her close and feel her heartbeat against mine. I'll always regret that. It's a hole in my heart that nothing can fill. Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken pain. I could see the lines etched deeper around her eyes, the ones that hadn't been there just a few years ago. For the first time, I realized how much her own choices had cost her, not just me, but a piece of the family she claimed to protect so fiercely. It wasn't just about control anymore, it was about loss, the kind that sneaks up on you when the house is too quiet at night. I swallowed hard, my throat tight with a mix of relief and sorrow. I hated lying to you, Mom, I admitted, my voice cracking just a little. Hiding my life was awful, like carrying around this invisible weight that pressed down on every conversation, every hug goodbye. I'd catch myself smiling through stories about work or Seattle, knowing I was leaving out the best parts, Adam's laugh echoing in our kitchen as we burned dinner together, or the way Lily's giggles fill the room during bath time. It felt like betrayal, not just to you, but to myself. I felt trapped, like if I told the truth, I'd shatter everything we'd built, or worse, confirm every doubt you ever had about me. But keeping it secret? That was its own kind of prison. She nodded slowly, her gaze dropping to her hands folded in her lap. The room felt smaller then, the three of us, me, Mom, and Adam, sitting there in the dim lamplight, the weight of years pressing in. Adam sat quietly beside me, his hand resting lightly on my knee, a silent anchor. He didn't interrupt, he never did in these moments. He knew this was our dance, mine and Mom's, full of steps we'd both stumbled over before. There's enough blame for both of us, Mom said quietly, her words deliberate, like she was testing them out for the first time. I pushed too hard, demanded too much, because I thought that's what love looked like, steering you away from what I feared would hurt you. But in doing that, I hurt you more. Maybe we can do better now. Not perfect, but better. It was the closest we'd ever come to true understanding. Not a grand apology or a tearful embrace from a movie, but a quiet acknowledgement, raw and real. In that moment, I felt a shift, like the ground beneath us wasn't quite as cracked as before. We weren't fixed, not by a long shot, but there was a bridge starting to form, tentative and narrow, but there. Her visit wrapped up the next morning with tentative plans sketched out over coffee. She'd come back for Lily's birthday in October, she promised, and in the meantime, we'd exchange photos and updates, no more silences, no more omissions. As I hugged her goodbye at the door, her perfume, that same crisp floral scent from my childhood, lingered a little longer than usual. It felt like a truce, fragile but hopeful. Healing with Mom wasn't a straight path, it was more like a winding trail through thick woods, full of unexpected turns and moments where you'd swear you were lost again. There were hiccups, plenty of them. During one call a few weeks later, she slipped back into old habits, commenting on a photo I'd sent of our garden. It's lovely, but wouldn't it look better with some proper landscaping? Those vegetables are so rustic. Her tone carried that familiar edge, the one that said she was just helping, but it landed like a jab, stirring up the old resentment. I took a deep breath, remembering the tips I'd read in a book on family boundaries after our big blow-up: be clear, be kind, but be firm. That hurts, Mom, I said evenly, without raising my voice. Our garden is something Adam and I built together, and Lily loves it just as it is. If we keep focusing on critiques like that, it'll make these talks harder. Let's stick to the good stuff, okay? If it keeps happening, I'll have to cut the call short. There was a pause on her end, the kind that used to make my stomach twist with guilt. But this time, she surprised me. You're right, she said after a beat. I didn't mean to. I'll try harder. And she did, mostly. It wasn't always smooth, old patterns die hard, but she'd back off, sometimes even follow up with an apology text, sorry about earlier. Tell Lily I said hi to her sunflowers. Losing connection with me and Lily, it turned out, weighed heavier on her than the urge to judge. It wasn't perfect reconciliation, with fireworks and instant harmony, but it was progress, real and earned. Each small victory felt like reclaiming a piece of myself, step by cautious step. I started weaving in little strategies I'd picked up from online forums and therapy articles, nothing fancy, just practical tools for navigating the minefield of family dynamics. One was the gray rock method for those inevitable tense moments: respond neutrally, without feeding the drama. When she'd probe about my career choices during a visit, still at that tech firm? You could do so much more, I'd say simply, it's where I am now, and I'm happy with it, then pivot to asking about her latest book club pick. It kept things light without inviting a debate. Another was scheduling our time intentionally, no open-ended afternoons that could stretch into unsolicited advice marathons. We'd plan a walk in the park or a quick coffee, with a built-in end time. This has been great, but I've got to get Lily down for her nap, I'd say, and mean it. Boundaries like that weren't walls, they were doors I controlled, letting in what nourished us and keeping out what drained. As the months rolled on, those boundaries became less about defense and more about invitation. Mom began asking genuine questions, not just polite ones to fill the silence. "How's Adam's new project going?" she'd say during a Sunday call, her tone curious rather than skeptical. I'd tell her about his latest software breakthrough, the way it helped small businesses track their environmental impact, and she'd listen, really listen, without interjecting her better-if scenarios. It was like watching her rediscover me, not as the daughter who needed fixing, but as a woman with a life full of choices she'd never imagined for me. By the time Lily's 4th birthday rolled around in early fall, the air crisp with the promise of changing leaves, Mom's arrival felt less like a tightrope walk and more like a warm homecoming. She flew in the day before, her suitcase lighter this time, packed with less armor and more openness. The party was simple: balloons and soft pastels tied to the backyard fence, a cake from our favorite local bakery shaped like a sunflower, Lily's obsession, and a small circle of friends and neighbors laughing over games of tag and slices of chocolate fudge. Mom dove right in, her usual poise giving way to something softer as she knelt to help Lily pin the tail on the donkey, her laughter genuine and unforced. But the real gift came later, unwrapped in the quiet of the living room after the last guest had gone. Mom pulled out a thick photo album, its cover embossed with faded gold lettering, and handed it to Lily with a tenderness that made my chest ache. "For you, sweetheart," she said, her voice thick. "So you know where you come from, pictures of your mommy when she was little, chasing fireflies in the backyard, your grandpa, with that silly grin, teaching her to ride a bike, all of us, before life got so complicated." The pages were a time capsule, me at 5, gap-toothed and muddy from a rainy day adventure, Dad tossing me into the air at a family picnic, his eyes crinkled with joy, holiday gatherings where the table groaned under turkey and pies, faces flushed with stories and second helpings. Lily flipped through it with wide-eyed wonder, her tiny finger tracing the edges. "That's Mommy? And who's that tall man?" she asked, pointing to Dad. Mom leaned in, her hand gentle on Lily's back. "That's your grandpa. He loved stories and hugs and making people smile. Just like you." In that exchange, I saw the bridge widen, not just between Mom and me, but across generations, weaving Lily into the tapestry of our shared history without the shadows of old hurts. As the evening wound down, the house settling into that post-party hush, I stepped out onto the back porch for a breath of fresh air. The stars were out in full force, a glittering canopy against the deepening blue, and there was Mom, settled in one of the wicker chairs, her gaze lost upward. I grabbed a blanket from the hook by the door, wrapping it around my shoulders against the autumn chill that nipped at my skin. The wooden planks creaked softly under my feet as I joined her, the familiar scent of damp earth and fading roses rising from the garden below. "Thanks for coming, Mom," I said softly, settling into the chair beside her. It meant a lot to Lily, and to me. Seeing her light up over that album, it was like giving her a piece of something bigger. She nodded, her eyes still fixed on the sky, as if the stars held answers she was searching for. A long moment passed, the only sound the distant hoot of an owl and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Then, quietly, she spoke. "Your father would have adored her so much, Hannah." That spark in her eyes, the way she asks a million questions about everything, it's all him. "And he'd have been proud of you, too. The life you've built here, brick by brick, with Adam and Lily at the center. The mother you've become, patient and fierce in equal measure." I haven't said that enough. Not nearly enough. Her words landed like a bomb, soothing scars I'd carried for years. I reached out, covering her hand with mine, and for once, she didn't pull away. We sat there in companionable silence, the kind that doesn't demand filling, just being. The air felt charged with possibility, the chill forgotten as memories surfaced unbidden, Dad's voice reading bedtime stories in that gravelly baritone, his hand steady on Mom's shoulder during tough times. In the quiet, I could almost hear his laugh, echoing across the years. Finally, she broke the silence again, her voice steadier now. "I was wrong, you know, about Adam, about what makes a good life tick. I thought success meant the big house, the right circles, the path without detours. I wanted to shield you from the struggles your dad and I faced, the late nights scraping by, the arguments over dreams we couldn't afford to chase. I figured an easier path was the kindest gift. But all I did was build walls around you, didn't I? Kept you from the messiness that makes life real. Life's not easy, Mom, I said gently, squeezing her hand. Never has been, for any of us. But having people who love you for who you really are, the quirks, the stumbles, the quiet victories, that makes the hard parts bearable. That's what Adam gives me every day, without question or condition. And I think, deep down, that's what Dad gave you, too. Through all the storms, he saw you, the real you. She turned to me then, her eyes glistening under the porch light, and reached over to squeeze my hand in return, a rare physical gesture from a woman who'd always kept a careful distance, like affection was something to be rationed. Her fingers were cool but steady, and in that simple touch, I felt the years melt away, just a little. Yes, she said simply, her voice catching. He did. God, he did. That night marked a turning point, subtle but profound. From there, our healing journey unfolded like a slow-blooming flower, petals opening one by one, revealing colors we hadn't seen before. It continues to this day, not as a fairy tale ending but as an ongoing conversation, full of grace and grit. We still hit rough patches, those old wounds flaring up like embers from a dying fire, an offhand comment about our modest neighborhood during a holiday call, or a sigh when I share Lily's latest preschool escapade, implying it could be more structured. The triggers are familiar, pulling me back to that dining room table, the shattered frame, the raw ache of estrangement. But now, armed with tools I'd gathered along the way, books on emotional maturity, podcasts from therapists who'd walked similar paths, even a few sessions of my own with a counselor who specialized in family rifts, I handle them differently. No more swallowing the hurt or exploding in defense. Instead, I pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. Mom, that feels like judgment, and it's pulling us backward. Let's focus on what's going well. Tell me more about your garden this week. And remarkably, more often than not, she catches herself. You're right, dear. I didn't mean it that way. The garden's blooming like never before. Want to see photos? It's not always immediate, sometimes there's a frosty silence, a day or two of radio quiet before she circles back with a peace offering, like a recipe clipped from her favorite magazine or a video of her reading a storybook to herself for Lily. Those moments remind me of stories I've read online, from women who'd reconciled after years of silence, how the grandchild often becomes the softener, the innocent bridge that invites vulnerability without threat. One account stuck with me, a daughter estranged over her unsuitable partner, who found her way back through weekly letters about her kids' antics, until her mother, softened by distance and time, admitted, "I was scared you'd choose wrong, but seeing your joy. I was wrong." We're building something honest now, rooted in respect, where family isn't a battlefield but a shared table, sometimes messy, always worth showing up for. We value those connections too much to let pride or old scripts win. I've even suggested family therapy a couple of times, gently framing it as a way for all of us to keep growing together. She hesitated at first. I'm not broken, Hannah, but after a particularly tense visit where old patterns nearly derailed us, she agreed to a trial session. It was awkward at the start, the three of us, me, her, and Adam, with Lily coloring in the corner, sitting in a circle under the therapist's neutral gaze. But as we unpacked a recent flare-up, her unsolicited advice on Lily's bedtime routine, the facilitator guided us through it. What did that feel like for you, Diane? Mom shifted uncomfortably, then said, like I was losing control, but maybe that's the point. Control isn't love. The air lightened after that, and we've kept going monthly. Research backs it up. Studies show family therapy cuts conflict by up to 70% in the first few months, rebuilding trust through structured talks that honor everyone's voice. For us, it's been a game changer, turning what ifs into what nows. This whole journey, from the secret wedding band to these starlit confessions, has taught me lessons I carry like treasures in my pocket, pulling them out on tough days. True love, I've learned, takes you as you are, no strings attached, no checklists or contingencies. It's Adam's hand in mine during a midnight storm, or his quiet I see you when I'm unraveling. It's the freedom to be messy and still be enough. The hardest choices, the ones that hurt most in the raw heat of the moment, like walking out that door 3 years ago, suitcase in hand, heart in shards, they're the sparks for the biggest growth. Back then, I thought I was breaking, now I see I was breaking free, forging a path that led to this fuller life. Honesty, even when it stings like salt in a fresh cut, beats the slow poison of lying every time. Those years of half-truths eroded me from the inside, but speaking my truth at that dinner table? It was terrifying, liberating, the start of reclaiming my voice. And above all, I've learned family isn't just blood or obligation, it's love and choice, woven from the decisions we make to show up, to forgive, to evolve. Adam and Lily are my first family, the one I chose and created from scratch, with late-night whispers and shared dreams. Mom's learning to join it now, on new terms that honor our autonomy and dignity, no more ultimatums, just open hands and honest hearts. These days, I often find myself in the garden, watching Lily play with her grandma, their heads bent close over a patch of wildflowers. Lily's laughter bubbles up like a spring, high and pure, as Mom shows her how to gently cup a ladybug, whispering secrets about its spotted wings. Adam's arm slips around my waist, warm and steady, pulling me close. In that tableau, dirt-streaked cheeks, shared smiles, the sun dipping low, I feel a sense of peace that once seemed utterly impossible, a quiet miracle born from chaos. The road here was longer and more painful than I ever imagined, riddled with detours through doubt and dead ends of despair. There were nights I lay awake, wondering if I'd ever hear her laugh again, or days when a single text from her felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. But standing in this moment, soil under my nails and love all around, I know every step was necessary. The blisters, the falls, the slow climbs, they shaped us into something resilient, something real. Our lives, I've come to see, are shaped not just by the love we receive, but by the boundaries we set like gentle fences around our hearts, the truths we tell even when our voices tremble, and the courage we summon to be authentically ourselves, even when it costs us dearly, old comforts, familiar roles, the illusion of control. Sometimes, standing firm in our truth is the most loving act we can do for ourselves and others, a radical kindness that clears the debris and makes space for new growth. Because only then, in that cleared ground, can real healing begin, tentative at first, then blooming wild and free. Have you ever faced a tough choice between your family's expectations and your own happiness, the kind that keeps you up at night, weighing hearts against head? How did you deal with it? Did you set those boundaries, walk away, or find a middle path? Share your story in the comments below. Your words might light the way for someone else navigating their own storm. And if this hit home, resonating with your own hidden chapters or hard-won peace, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It connects us all a little closer. Thank you for joining me on this journey, for listening to the messy, beautiful unraveling and reweaving of a mother's love. And remember, sometimes the hardest choices, the ones that feel like they're tearing you apart, lead to the most beautiful outcomes, ones you couldn't have scripted, but wouldn't trade for the world.